Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome my friend David Meltzer on the podcast. David is a co-founder of Sports One Marketing. He's a consultant, he's a business coach, he's a keynote speaker, and he's a 3X best-selling author. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What a great opportunity to share with your community and hopefully guide some insight and dummy tax on how to help people live in abundance.
I love that. Okay, you know what? I know we only have it for a limited amount of time, so we're just going to jump right into this. First question I have for you your personal story is so compelling. You had all of this success and financial abundance, and you kind of, you hit bottom and then you brought yourself back up. And so I'm wondering, especially for all of the nonprofit executives out there who are feeling really burnt out, what would your advice be? Because especially when you're in kind of the giving profession, you feel like you give and you give and you give, and at some point you kind of hit burnout or fatigue.
Yeah, well, what we find, especially in the philanthropic side of things and the giving side of things, is it's really important to teach people or empower them that giving and receiving are one. And that a lot of times that we're not living in abundance, not because we're not afraid to give, it's we're afraid to receive. And so a key component in the idea of living in the flow, in abundance, in an infinite unified system of thought is that appreciation, a value add occurs only with one acknowledgement, which the only way that we can acquire the knowledge of what we have is to not have it anymore and not have it anymore. And so giving it, having it lost, stolen, manipulated, and cheated also creates acknowledgement. But where we fail to fill ourselves or fill that vessel that is empty through appreciation and acknowledgement is in the same context of value add, which is asking for help, asking for more. When we truly live in abundance, we're not afraid to ask for help or afraid to ask for more or afraid to ask for donations or afraid to ask for money, whatever it may be. And so my biggest piece of advice is to ask every day in person, on the phone, via email, media, social, traditional media. And if we're not asking and giving, then we're not living in the flow. At ourselves as an influencer spreading dis-ease instead of living in the flow and spreading ease of abundance in an infinite value add world.
Okay, I want to unpack that because I think you said so much that is so wise. So, in the nonprofit field, I think we get really into this scarcity mindset of, never enough money, never enough time, never enough staff, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that puts us into that scarcity mindset, and we're not really able to get into the flow of abundance. What are some of your favorite, call it mind hacks, if you will, to really get ourselves into it? I think you mentioned one, appreciation, but if I'm sitting here as an ED and I'm just like freaked out about making payroll, how do I change my energy about that?
Well, first, the cornerstone is faith. And, I think that it's really important to believe, not just say, do, think, but believe and feel abundance within the context of faith that there's more than enough. And in order to believe there's more than enough, I believe in the best option, which is there's something bigger than me, an omniscient, all powerful, all knowing source that loves me more than my mom. And in this cornerstone thought, I now am always protected and promoted. I'm living in a world of more than enough, not just enough or not enough. And whether I have payroll due or whether I am short in any way or feel scarce in any way, that when I have a cornerstone of that belief that I live in an abundant world, protected and promoted by an omniscient, all powerful source that loves me even more than my mom, then I can get into the practice of identifying the interference, the dis-ease, which really is manifested in two ways. One, fear of the past, which is guilt and resentment, or fear of the future, with his anxiety and worry. And from there, when I can identify the fear, now I can only hopefully practice spending minutes and moments in fear instead of days, weeks, months, and years, focusing in on what other people want, what other people think, what's missing, what I don't have. When I can focus in on abundance of what I do have and being protected and promoted, it's amazing how what I think, say, do, believe, and feel are intentional of manifesting exactly what I do want, not what I don't want.
Oh, that's so powerful. And what kind of tips would you recommend folks to get into that faith or that belief? Because I think, especially if you're so used to thinking in a scarcity mindset way, it can be hard to just like I can't, can I just decide one day that I'm gonna start thinking like this? Like what are the David Meltzer, you know, gems of wisdom around that?
Well, first of all, that's a very wise thing because it takes as much energy to get from 0 to 1 as it does from 1 to 100. And that's what you're explaining there, that we can't tell someone that's depressed or anxious, hey, just look at the glass half full. What's your problem? And too many people try to take the simplistic approach to that hack or change. And what I try to do is work within the context of energy or behavior. And it applies to behaviors, money, consistency. And there's three characteristics that we have to start practicing. One is understand that our behaviors create progress, and progress is near to impossible to see instantaneously. So we have to have faith that the good progress that we have is created by good behaviors, which number one, aggregate on itself. It attracts more good into our lives. It exponentially provides better outcomes, and it also accelerates. So those are the three characteristics of energy, behavior, money, both energies. And so for me, I create practices that are time dependent. I believe time itself, man-made constructive time, is a dependent variable of all matter. And so if we can look at what we are doing, saying, thinking, believing, and feeling today in a trajectory of where we think we want to be, by giving meaning or finding the lessons of the defining moments, successes, failures, mistakes, setbacks, voids, shortages, and obstacles of my past. So for me, I take minutes and moments to say, okay, here's what I want today, personally, experientially, giving and receiving. Here's who I can help and who can help me. Here's how best to get it done, knowing that if I know the what, the who, and the how, I now can prioritize by importance in the trajectory of where I think I want to be, and also do a time check on, am I giving meaning to that which is interfering with where I want to be, instead of giving meaning to what I want, giving meaning to what I don't want. And so by knowing my what, my who, and my how, I now have the antidote to procrastination and feeling overwhelmed, which is prioritization of what's important to me, using urgency as a subset to influence my daily activities in that 24 hours of being present, which allows me to do one simple thing. Instead of searching for my why, which so many humanitarians, philanthropic people, givers of the world, healers of the world, they just want to go ahead and give, and in search of their why, their passion. Instead, I believe in applying our why, which is identifying that which interferes with I am. I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it is completely different than I'm going to get happy, get healthy, get wealthy, and get worthy.
Oh, that is such a great reframe. I'm gonna start using that. Um, and as you're talking, what it occurs to me is it's really about kind of calming the fear and the emotion of the brain down to actually think, logically, sequentially about the steps that you can take versus letting, the fear mongering brain just make you like sit in anxiety. So let me switch tacks a little bit because again, I'm trying to get as much out of this 20 minutes as possible. I know that philanthropy is very near and dear to your heart. Can you say a little bit about, has it always been the case? And if not, like what was the switch for you?
So it's always been the case because my mom was always that way. She's a pleaser, like I'm a pleaser. Wanting to help other people was the primary interest of her life as she raised six kids, a single mom, all who ended up passionate, purposeful, and profitable in their lives. But she gave everything away. She wasn't someone who asked. She was someone who appreciated and acknowledged and gave everything away. So I had to create a relationship with philanthropy, with giving. I used to give to receive. My mom was one of those classic mavericks of the more you give, the more you'll receive. Well, that is true as long as you ask to receive. And so for me, going from that form of scarcity that is disguised as philanthropy, which is really just a scarce thought of trade negotiation, it's a scarce thought of a zero sum world where I give to receive instead of I actually appreciate, acknowledge, and ask for more. And so for me, I receive more so I can give more. You cannot give more with less. You cannot give what you don't have. And so when we look in a dynamic of abundance, of more than enough, it's so important to shift the paradigm of giving from one of trade or negotiation, of outcome tied to emotion, to instead tying our emotion to the pursuit of the potential of receiving as much as we can from more than enough, so that we can give more than enough for others to receive as much as they can to give more than enough. And this is the complete paradigm shift that occurred in my life in the context of wanting to please others, of wanting to do good. My mantra in life is be kind to your future self, do good deeds. And one of the greatest deeds that you can do is ask for help. In a value add world, when we ask for help, we are adding value to the person we're asking for help from.
Wait, I want to just double click on that because asking for help is not something that comes very naturally to me, but I think you're absolutely right. It is a gift to the person that you're asking to help you, is it not?
For sure. I mean, it's so funny how we don't think about how we feel when the same circumstances occur. Someone like you, if I called you, Ria, and I said, hey, I need your help, and you were able to help me, I promise you would feel so good. But we don't realize that that hey, I'm giving that person an opportunity to give. I'm giving that person an opportunity to feel good. And look, even God, or source, or whatever you believe in, I don't care about religion, philosophy, theory, whatever you believe in. For me, you know, even in that respect, like, we get a doggy biscuit. A proof, a literally biochemical, bio and anatomical proof that giving, receiving, and witnessing are one. Because when we give, the dose, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphins are received. When we receive, the same is occurring. And when we witness giving and receiving, the same occurs. So there's actually a biochemical, bioanatomical reaction that says, hey, this is a good thing. That's why I'm giving you a dose of happiness, compared to when you live in scarcity and fear, you get cortisol, which creates inflammation. And it's actually the proof biochemically and anatomically that you're doing the wrong thing when cortisol is created, not dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
David, I love that you're marrying kind of the philosophical, the spiritual, and the biochemical. It's like, the triumvirate here. Let me switch tacks a little bit. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but I have so many questions. I have lots of executive directors and development directors listening to this, and you being both a very successful person, but also a very evolved person. I know folks are like, how do I find all the David Meltzers in my life, right? Because I'm sure that you are very good at accelerating the growth of whatever you're involved with, be it charities or whatever. And yet I think a lot of people feel like, well, David is kind of one in a million, but how do I attract the kind of people like David to be part of my community?
Yeah, so your frequency is your neighborhood. And I'm very conscious, attentional, and intentional about the people, ideas, events, circumstances, beliefs, and feelings I surround myself with, because I know their energy, and energy aggregates, it attracts more like, it exponentially gives you the outcomes, and it accelerates. So it happens faster. Three really progressive characteristics that you want in anything that you care about or do, or trajectory that you hope for. And so for me, I'm very intentional, knowing that what I pay attention to, the people I surround myself with, the intention I give it, what I do, say, think, believe, and feel with those people equals the karma, coincidence, the consequences that I want. And so for me, I create communities of people who want to help each other and know people who can help each other. And I know we only have a limited amount of time, but anyone in your community, if they email me, david@dmeltzer.com, you can join my community for free. I'll send you my book. I'll sign it. I'll pay for shipping and the book. It's, for me, an abundant way to have people know their frequency, know your essence, know your skills, your knowledge, and your desire, and align it with other people who can help you, and know people that can help you with your skills, your knowledge, and your desire.
So, David, last question for me, because I know Nick is on the timer. From your background in sales, which is somewhat similar to fundraising, I think a lot of people come from this kind of, I want to say, transactional, extractive mindset. And I know you have come from this idea of 120, which is I'm going to add value before I ask for value back. So how could we apply that idea to fundraising?
Well, I raise a lot of funds. I'm the chief chancellor of Junior Achievement University. We have 100 million alumni. We got nominated for a Nobel Prize. It's an extraordinary organization for entrepreneurs 15 to 25. I'm the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation. And for me, it's a real simple mathematical, pragmatic approach. And I practice articulating quantitative value to exceed what I'm asking for, understanding the credibility of what I'm talking about, understanding the emotional attachment of knowing what they like and don't like, because true value is derived by giving people more of what they like and taking away some of what they don't like, and being able to articulate the quantitative value of what they like and don't like. Then I'm able to support it with the reasons, impacts, and capabilities that I have, or the charity has, or the philanthropy has, in order to effectuate with that credibility the value as you suggest. I love to say, hey, please let me give you $100 worth of value. Just give me $20 back. And most people are so in love with what they're doing in a passionate, purposeful way, they don't take the time to practice, whether it's business wise, philanthropy wise, personally, they don't practice articulating that quantitative value to exceed what they're asking for. And so when we can meet people where they're at, understand what they like and don't like, add more of what they like, take away what they don't like, and articulate that value, we have a huge success, because we simply say, hey, can you see any reason you wouldn't want to give to Junior Achievement, to the Unstoppable Foundation, or any other cause or purpose that you are aligned with? And this formula works in business, life, and charity. And I'm more than happy to help people with that as well. I have an exercise to help people. Please email me, david@dmeltzer.com. If you can put that in the notes, I'd appreciate it, to help other people and empower them to live in abundance.
I will do so. And thank you so much, David. This has been a short but powerful burst of inspiration and wisdom. I really appreciate you. And if there's anything I can do to help you and your causes, please let me know.
We'd love to have you on more of our platforms as well. The world needs more of you, and what you're doing, I applaud, and anything I can do to support you as well, please let me know, Ria. What a pleasure it is and an opportunity to be here. Thank you, everyone. Be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds.
Thank you so much. Take care, David. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye bye.